Shields up, Iron Breakers. Rurikhan here coming at you with another video, and today we're going to be talking about Diablo 3 Eternal Collection for the Nintendo Switch. This title was sent to me by Blizzard so that I could give it a look and tell you guys my opinions on it. Now, before we begin this video, I do feel it is important to address the elephant in the room. We've recently had the announcement of Diablo Immortal for iOS and Android, and I know that there's a lot of strong feelings in regards to that announcement, but I would ask you guys if you could keep the discussion in this video relevant to Diablo 3 on the Switch. I already have another video that I dedicated to telling you guys how I feel about Diablo Immortal, as well as, giving you guys my points of view and all of that stuff. So if you want to talk about that, please do so in that video. I'll link it on the top right hand side right now so that you guys can go check it out. Also, if my voice sounds a little bit different, I am extremely sick right now, so please bear with me. So let's start talking about Diablo 3. Now, I understand that whenever you're talking about a port for the Nintendo Switch, the very first thing that is going to come to mind is going to be, okay, Rurikhan, what does it play like? What's the performance like? What are the visuals like? Tell us all the details. And I'm glad to say that they pretty much went performance over visuals when it comes to the Nintendo Switch. And the reason I say I'm glad to say that is because, Diablo 3 is a very fast action-paced game. And therefore, you kind of need performance more than you need the pretty visuals. Having said that, though, in handheld mode, I think the game looks great. However, when you put it in dock mode, it does not look as good as in handheld because it is stretching. I believe it is stretching 720p, but again, because this is on a console, I don't actually have a proper way to check out what resolution this thing is at because, I don't have the resources of Digital Foundry. I'm sorry. But either way, I believe that if it's not 720p, it's pretty close. It stretches it out to whatever resolution your TV has, and it looks a bit blurry as is to be expected, but it does run silky smooth, at least what I've played of it so far. I've played all the way up until the Skeleton King and a little bit more in order to record the footage that you guys are watching right now. And it maintained silky smooth 60 FPS all throughout the experience, which, like I said, is more important than visual detail when it comes to a game like Diablo because of the fast pace of the action. When it comes to the controls, they feel pretty responsive. If you guys have played other console versions like the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One, you pretty much know what to expect. In the console version of the game, the characters are a little bit more zoomed in as opposed to the PC version where they're further zoomed out. But to compensate for that, they give you a dodge roll, which is executed by flicking your right analog stick, which basically allows you to dodge in any direction that you want. Kind of reminded me a little bit of God of War, because God of War 3, not God of War 2018, we're talking like the old God of War games, those also had that kind of dodging. You flick the right stick in order to dodge in the direction that you wish to dodge. On top of that, it's got a couple of more things that essentially makes the console version feel a little bit more arcadey as opposed to tactical. I feel like the PC version feels a little bit more tactical. The console version feels a little bit more arcadey if I had to describe it. Now, like I said, the controls feel responsive, but it is important to mention your mileage may vary depending on your Joy-Cons because you know that the Nintendo Switch had that issue with the Joy-Cons when they were released. I still have those old-ass Joy-Cons, so every now and then it does lose signal, but that happens in every game. But again, in a game like Diablo, you really want to make sure that you keep that stuff on lockdown because, a little bit of a missed dodge or something, particularly on high rift keys, can basically mean the difference between life and death. Now, they did introduce an interesting option that I really wasn't expecting, and that is the fact that you can actually have a local co-op in the same console, which, that was to be expected, but the one thing that I wasn't expecting is that you could do it with the Joy-Cons. Now, I haven't really been following the development of Diablo 3. Maybe they announced it on some development video or something and I missed it, but you can play two-player, one player with each Joy-Con. Now, that's not the most optimal way to play, I'll tell you that right now, because it is not particularly comfortable, and there's even a button that I was just blown away because I thought that these buttons were disabled whenever you're playing with the Joy-Cons. Now, those of you who don't know, whenever you're playing with the Joy-Cons, you only get 2 shoulder buttons. But the shoulder buttons on the side of the Joy-Con itself, which are like the main shoulder buttons when you're playing it in handheld mode or something like that, most games don't actually use those buttons. But because you have so many things that so many shortcuts, so many abilities in Diablo for a small controller like this, Blizzard actually went ahead and activated those buttons. So for instance, in order for me to use the potion, I would have to use the ZL on the Joy-Con whilst being able to use all the other abilities with the 6 remaining buttons that I have on there. And you would move your character with the left stick, and I believe you sacrifice your dodge, or if you can dodge. I don't know exactly how you're supposed to do it when you are into Joy-Con mode. So like I said, it is not the most optimal way to play it, but at the same time, I am glad that that particular option is there. It's a nice little detail. And from my experimentation with this, I believe that they are doing the same thing that they are doing on the other consoles when it comes to save game files. Now, I didn't really get to test this too thoroughly because for my group of friends at this point in time, I'm the only person that has Diablo 3 on Switch, so I can't really test like save swapping. But what do I mean by save swapping, by the way, before you guys start thinking like, what the hell is he talking about, save swapping? Basically, in the other consoles on the PS4, you are able to, say that I'm playing on my console, right? You're able to log in with your PlayStation account on my console, and you can download your Diablo save on there, and you'll be able to use your own characters in my console. And then when we're done, you can upload the progress back to the cloud, and then you can play with your characters on your own console. I believe that works the same way on the Nintendo Switch because now they do have the cloud save files. And when I tried hooking up to player mode using the 2 Joy-Cons, and I hooked up one of my accounts that I just have a bunch of accounts on my Nintendo Switch because whenever someone else plays on my Nintendo Switch, like maybe I'm showing it off or something, I just create an account for them so that they don't mess with my saves. So I just got one of those accounts and instantly told me you should link to a Nintendo account, and so in order to use the online features. And I'm assuming that those features are that you can like create a character, then upload it to the cloud and use it on your own console, which is very, very nice because essentially it means that you can have your progressed characters and then log it. We can both play on my console if for some reason you forgot your console at home or whatever. Again, it's not something that I see being used a whole lot, but it's still a nice addition to have. Now, another really nice feature that I like that this game has is the ad hoc support. So for those of you that don't know, a lot of games on the Nintendo Switch allow you to basically play local multiplayer by just connecting to another Switch that is near you. You can have one player be the host, other players join in. It's basically like old school LAN parties if you've ever been to those. This is something that has been prevalent in a lot of handheld consoles like the 3DS, the PlayStation Vita, so on and so forth. And it is something that they are supporting here and that I really like. The more games that we get with multiplayer on the Switch, the more I want to see this be a feature that is utilized on every single one of them so that you don't necessarily need to be connected to the internet to play with your friends. So basically we can both bust out our Nintendo Switches in in a bus stop or an airport or something, and maybe we don't have Wi-Fi, but we can still play together through ad hoc. And I really like the fact that they've included that feature. But again, I wish I had gotten to test it. Some of my friends need to get the game still. But yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes to Diablo. I mean, you got all of the bells and whistles of Diablo, but on a Nintendo console. If you're someone who's only played Nintendo consoles and you've never gotten to play Diablo, I would advise you to check it out because Diablo 3, once they fixed it with Loot 2.0, Reaper of Souls, and then they even added the Necromancer, it is a game that does have a lot of value. This is a personal opinion. Like I said, I understand that right now Diablo is not the most popular franchise. I myself have talked about this at length in another video. But ultimately, Diablo 3 is still Diablo 3, and I personally enjoyed the experience of Diablo 3. So my overall opinion of this particular port is pretty positive. If you guys have a Nintendo Switch and you're looking to have a Diablo 3 that you can play on the go, and most likely it will still be better than Diablo Immortal, this would be a good option for you to check out. Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell notifications icon, and I'll see you guys in the next one.